We've actually lost a very big legend, Karl Lagerfeld, and considering he's been such a big iconic figure, and it was brilliant seeing his work, and I've been a big fan of him as well. And on the same lines, we have someone as classy, as iconic, is one of my favorites, James Fareria, who is here with us in Jaipur right now. And what do I say about him? Since I've known him since I've started my career in this field, and he's just been the same. He is as creative, has sculpted in his designs. He's always known for his beautifully pleated saris, his knitted garments, and he always has his very signature showstopper element in every garment that I see. So here we have the master who has colored this whole world of fashion, Mr. James Fareria. Welcome to Jaipur. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So how are you?
Getting along.
So
I heard that you've got some questions for me, and I don't know what
Yeah,
they
there are a lot of
so it's
questions
going
for
to be
you.
exciting.
For the first time, I'm actually going to be asking him all the questions because it's always him designing brilliant clothes for most of us. And trust me, the first time I met him, I was actually scared of him because he had this very serious look. Till I started working with him, he's such a gem of a person, and he is very passionate about what he does, and that's one of the reasons why I love him. He's a great, great designer. So tell me, how do you describe your point of view of fashion in this industry over the number of years that you've been here?
Well, I mean, I've been around now for 40, 45 years, and it has become professional, but it hasn't become professional enough. We've really not done a lot of things we should have done. And the fashion is still in the fledgling sort of place it was as it was in the beginning. There are so many things to make the fashion industry vibrant, which we really haven't taken care of. And I think the most important thing is the size chart. I mean, today we have a FDCI, which is over 25 years.
Yes, it is around that.
Yeah, it's 25 years, and we still don't have a size chart for India. I think that should have been one of the first things a fashion organization should have taken care of, trying to get some sort of, you know, manage the whole industry in a proper manner and start with at least a size chart. We don't have that.
But why do you think they're still lacking in, and why do you think that no one has actually initiated this?
I was invited to NID about 2.5 years ago to do a sort of initial presentation of the size chart of India, and it fell through. It was being backed by the Japanese government, and then 2 years after them doing a little work, the whole thing fell through. And I think that is very sad, because I think with these few guidelines which we need in fashion, fashion is not going to go anywhere. I personally have kept away from FDCI or all of these other organizations, because I don't think it is a group of designers who should decide about fashion. I think fashion should be decided more about people from the industry. It should be by the textile owners, by the accessory owners, by people from all the different parts of fashion which get together and make a Fashion Design Council of India. So what has happened is fashion has got hijacked along the way by a few successful designers who have used that platform to say, well, this year I will do the finale and next year you will do the finale. So it's a bit of a problem there, and really nothing has gone on. And I think, very importantly, I think it is that I'm so glad that right now there is a sort of emphasis on craft, because I think craft and what we are is the most important thing. And India is the birthplace of textile. India is the cradle of textile. India is the cradle of the most exciting garments in the world. Where can you get handloom textiles like you get in India?
I totally agree with you.
And what have we done with it? You know, there's so much more we need to do with the people who work with handloom. I mean, and another thing which really scares me is the lack of training. We are training designers by the million, but are we training the infrastructure to support them? Are we training the tailors? Are we training? We are going to be losing hand embroidery soon because none of our hand embroidery men want to learn hand embroidery or to make their children take hand embroidery as a profession. We have, you know, Turkey has already lost carpet weaving. And even though we are weaving all the Turkish carpets today, when is it going to be that that's going to be lost too? We need to do some serious thinking about fashion rather than just the glamour of fashion, which we always are concentrating on. And we really need to work on every aspect, even the models. Today, models are bylines. They are sad. They don't have the sort of importance they had in the beginning because everything has been taken over by a Shah Rukh Khan or by a Ranveer Singh or by a Aishwarya Rai or a Deepika Padukone. So where is it that we really have beautiful girls who are given the right and are given the respect, you know?
I wish all the designers thought like you, James. But I totally agree with you. Over the years, this change
I mean, look at
is
this
so
whole
drastic.
silly thing of a showstopper. Why do we need a showstopper who's an actress? Why can't the actress be sitting down there elegantly in the front row watching it and saying, oh my God, I love the design? She doesn't need to be sitting down there and taking 40 lakhs to walk the ramp. And why has there been this whole move away from the importance of fashion to the glamour of fashion, which has really killed the industry, killed modeling? I mean, I feel really sad for all the boys and girls who are modeling today, where they really don't get the chance to really become the stars they were, and the models were in the beginning, no?
Absolutely, I agree with you because I know every show of yours doesn't have a showstopper.
I try to be the
Yeah,
showstopper
because you are the
myself.
showstopper yourself. He's actually the showstopper in every show of his.
No,
And
why should I allow somebody else to take the credit for my garments? I mean, I would much rather have my tailors and my embroidery men over there rather than have a silly little actor or an actress come and sit down and wear my outfits. Don't you think we should be allowing these people to be part of our lives? You know, I was really upset the first time when I did a fashion show because they didn't allow my tailors to come and see the show. They thought that they were not great guests to have. And I mean, that really shocked me. I mean, if we don't allow all of us to grow together, how are we going to grow in an industry? Where are we going to leave these tailors and embroidery? Back in their dungeons? What have we done for them? I mean, we are talking about craftspeople and crafts everything, but it's always the designer who's taking the credit there. It's always the designer who is presenting the craft. Why can't the craftsmen present their crafts themselves? Why can't we give them strength? Why can't we give them respect? Why can't we bring them here and sit around here with them and allow them to do beautiful things? We have left them to die, left them to fend for themselves. And I think the fashion industry owes this the most to these people more than anybody else.
so, James, tell me now you've been in this industry for the last 4 decades, if I'm not mistaken. You've grown up in this industry, you have traveled, you have done so much. So tell me your journey in this industry. How has your experience been?
You know, I started being a fashion designer 45 years ago. Firstly, my parents didn't allow me to be a designer because they said that no son of mine is going to be a tailor. So I had to kind of rebel against them and work my way through and earn my way through fashion. When I studied fashion, there were no fashion design schools. So the most important thing I thought would be to do cutting and tailoring, which I did, and I am so glad that I did it. Because today, if you look at fashion, you see only the work of the artisan. In the 80s, it was the embroidery and the embellishment which made the garment. Today, in the time of craft and everything, it's the handloom fabric which is making the garment. But you take away this handloom fabric and you take away the embellishment, and what is it that the designer has added to it? Has the designer constructed something new? Is there anything new in the silhouette? The silhouette is the same. It's the same jhabbas our great-great-grandfathers wore, or the ghagra cholis which our great-grandfathers wore. Where is your signature as a designer on that garment? And I think that is very important for you all to understand right now. Learn how to construct, learn how to tailor, learn how to put your, signature on that garment so that you can make that yours. I mean, a kurta made by Pero or whatever, it's the same thing which was made thousands of times before. And today, Pero and all these other big designers today, it's only the fabric now which is making them what they are. You take away that handloom fabric and you still have the same kurta which Abu and Sandeep and my great-great-grandfather wore. So what is the signature of the designer on that garment? And that is a very important question you all have to ask yourselves as designers. I think it's very important for you all to be able to hold with you all a group of people who in the end will stand with you and make beautiful clothes. A good example of this is Arjun Saluja. His clothes are cutting edge. Every time he comes, it's something more exciting. Magic. Kalol Datta. I mean, these are guys who are taking chances. These are guys who are doing something innovative and new every time so that we have something to look forward to. It's not exciting to go to a fashion week and see the same old shit every year. Let's really start to work as designers instead of just being stylists. And there's this whole misconception of what is a designer today with Bollywood rearing its ugly head. Now, people who work in Bollywood are stylists. They are not designers. And I'm so glad today, at least in modeling, there is now beginning to be a differentiation between a fashion model and an actress.
I think because people have become more observant, people now, because of social media, because people know what's happening, people are not that dumb as they used to be before.
Yeah.
People are aware of what's happening around them and they know what they want.
But also, it's also because the dark girls who are today being shown in India have first been venerated by the West.
Absolutely.
No? Look at Lakshmi Menon, look at all the dark girls who have made it amazingly internationally. And it's only after they've made it internationally that we, in the end, say, oh, she made it in Paris, so maybe she should walk the walk for us.
They always had this obsession about fairness, which is now flipped, and it's all about dark skin, and for jewelry campaigns, dark skin. Or if the girl is fair, they kind of darken you and make you look dark. So things have just flipped around, which it has happened since the last few years now.
And it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. So there are pros and cons in this industry.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your cuts, James, which I totally love because I do own 3 dresses of yours. Because I remember them, I wore them for my birthday, I still remember it. You're known for your cuts, for your style, for your pleated saris and drapes. Tell me more about it.
See, for me, every time I go to the drawing board or go to my dummy, I do exactly what you're not supposed to do. When we are taught in college, we are taught to use the selvage and draping falling vertically. I just throw the fabric on a dummy like I'm throwing plaster on a dummy. I just throw it anywhere. I cut a hole somewhere and then I push the hole through the neck. And then I manage to kind of to create something out of that by pleating and draping. The Indian fashion is all about drape. We have 108 ways of wearing the sari. Look at the amount of ways. I think there are 48 ways of wearing the turban. There are 65 ways of wearing the dhoti or the trouser. Are we teaching our children that? No. NIFT is teaching the FIT method, Fashion in New York method. Pearl is teaching the Notting Hill method, which is the English method. Marangoni is teaching the Italian method. Mode Art is teaching the French method. But who is teaching the Indian method? We still do not have an Indian syllabus. So how can we as designers be proud of our country when we are being not taught about our country? We need to love our country, we need to love our craft, we need to love our craftsmen, we need to love all of that for us to be able to make design which is Indian. At present, what we are doing is international design, which is just really not Indian at all. And I think for me, the most exciting thing about design is to work as I do with a piece of cloth. You know, how did fashion happen? How did fashion start? You close your eyes and you think of the ancients and when we discovered how to weave fabric. Yeah? So the fabric was woven, and the fashion has always been the prerogative of the rich. And at that time, it was the prerogative of the princesses and the sheikhs and the, you know, all these rich women. And they were taken into their baths and they were bathed with ass's milk or rose water or these exquisite things. And then they would be removed from their bath and then they would be anointed with different things. And then these ladies would take these fabrics and drape it around them. In India as a sari, in Africa as a kaftan, in Egypt as a toga, in Burma as a sarong. And we learned to drape fabric around us and to create fashion. We've stopped doing that now. And I think in India, we really need to do that. We need to get back to our drape. We need to give people back that comfort of what Indian garments are, but in an international, in a very different way. Let's not try to do the same thing and repeat. I mean, you know, today, it's all about being safe. Somebody gets a style and clings onto it. If it's Manish Arora with his kitsch, or if it is Abu and Sandeep with their opulent embroideries. And then they never change. And then you know that it's going to be there forever and ever. Where is there any innovation? Where is there any excitement? Where are we putting ourselves into our clothes? We don't. And that's what you all have to realize. You all have to realize that you all have to be part of that collection for that collection to be yours.
I actually realize that because most of our great designers, I have nothing against them, but they always stick to their safe signature styles, which I totally love because I've been wearing their clothes. But I always feel that sometimes I think it's a risk they take to create something new. And that's the reason why maybe they don't want to create it, because they think they would lose something, or it might just, the collection might fall apart. But I always realize that they always stick to their signature style. I think they need to create more and innovate more and do something different, because as a model, since I wear so many of the designers, and when I see the new Gen X designers coming in, it's amazing how their collection changes season after season. I look forward to it because it's nice to see what young talent has to offer. So in the last 4 decades, since you've been here, so tell me, since our fashion industry has changed so much season after season, season after season, I want to know, where do you think Indian fashion industry stands in the global market?
See, we are still looking for an Indian designer who will be able to showcase India properly internationally. We still haven't found that.
We're still struggling to find that.
They're still struggling to find that because we either are very good at embellishment or we either are very good at fabric, but we are just not good at structure. I think the most important thing we all have to learn is how to cut, and I keep saying this because it's really very important for all of you all.
What I fail to understand is because our country has such rich culture, we have colors, we have textiles, we have so many things put together. Why is it so difficult to portray something and give it out in the international market? Because we have all the means to do that.
No, but we don't have research and development in our country. Tell me which site can you go to and say, the colors of Bengal. Have we got a site which will say that these are the colors of Bengal? We don't have any research happening on our fashion. We don't have any development happening on us. I mean, we really need to focus on R&D, because that is going to take us and give us more exciting things to do. We've stuck. I mean, look at the fabrics I use as a designer. I'm using silk, raw silk, crepe silk, satin silk, cotton, things which we used right from the time I started. And now it's become handloom, which is amazing because I'm so glad that at long last we have realized that the handloom industry is the backbone of fashion.
I agree with you. What do you think of sustainability, since now everyone is trying to be aware of this sustainability and innovation? It was always there in this industry, but now it's kind of highlighted. What do you think about it?
Indians have always been sustainable people. I mean, we have recycled from the time we've been children. We've always had the bhangar wala. We've always had the tin and batli wala. We've always had the paper wala. We've always recycled. I mean, and we've done exciting things when it comes to sustainabilities traditionally, So sustainability, all these new punch words the West is doing is all India. It's all born in us. We just have to bring it out and we just have to neuter it and do it in an amazing way. And that's what it's all about today. It's labeling things so that we go into that. But really, if you look at all of this, this is what we in India have done forever and we will continue to do. Because as a people, I think we are a very responsible people, even though we don't know how to keep our country clean. And sad. That's sad.
Some things will never change and some things need to be worked out on. So James, tell me, what is your favorite signature silhouette that you love designing? Like a single silhouette that is like your masterpiece.
When it comes to the trouser, I still love the sarong and the variations you can do with the sarong. And when it comes to a dress, I love the toga. I mean, it's such an amazing dress and it can be taken. And I mostly design resort wear because there aren't really any seasons in this country.
I think everyone just wears things that they're comfortable in.
The same thing. I think to make fashion slower, I think if we could do just one season a year, I think that would be enough. Instead of trying to do 3 seasons or 2 seasons a year, why don't we just do 1 season a year? Slow fashion down. We really need to slow fashion down. We really need to think about the responsibility of wastage. And that we do. But we just have to be more responsible and more aware of all these things again.
What do you think of the biannual fashion week? You think it's fading away with time? Is 2 seasons required every year? I know they have the spring, summer, and they have the autumn, winter. You think it does work in our country?
It has actually worked because it's better than having the 3 seasons as the West has, And because we really don't have 3 seasons. So the 2 seasons a year work because it becomes winter festive and summer resort. So that's really good what we have done, but I think we really need to start thinking about so many other things besides just these, seasonal fashion stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think the most important thing for us as people, also as designers, is to design classics. Rather to design something which is trendy and for the moment, try to keep your clothes as classic as possible. Try to design clothes today which you will wear forever. I mean, that is again really important. And then when you're thinking of doing this, the most important thing then becomes quality, which we still don't bother about. If you look at some of the big designers today, and if you open their garments inside out, they're ghastly. They're badly finished. I mean, why do we overlock a seam? We overlock a seam so that there's no fraying and then the garments don't come apart. So we really need to think of practical things when it comes to our garments, so that they can be something which are traditional, beautiful, but can be timeless. What I try to do all the time is design timeless garments which you can wear forever. And I think I have achieved that after my 40 years, to be able to do these garments which are classic rather than trendy.
I'm proud to own. I do have like 3-4 colors in your garments, and the silhouettes are really beautiful. Trust me, when he said he just takes the material and drapes it on top of the mannequin and then cuts and figures things out. Trust me, when the outcome comes, it's brilliant, because I do own some of his gowns and cocktail dresses, which are as sexy can be. And the cut and the finishing is just brilliant.
And I think the most important thing is comfort. Why do we, I mean, it's embarrassing to think that we created the churidar during the Mughal times, and yet the fashion schools say that Madame Vionnet in 1920 was the beginning of bias cutting. Look at the salwar. What is the inside of the salwar? The inside of the salwar is a cowl. So we have been doing the cowl, we have been doing bias cutting. If you look at the bra, it comes from the Katori Choli. So India is really the birthplace of everything, but we are not taught that. We are not being made proud of it. I think we need to change the way designers are taught firstly, and change our syllabuses. That's really very important.
We'll need at least 5 James together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I know, but fashion is changing every year, year after year. I see, like, instead of following their own designs, I feel people are just aping the West now, because everything is so open out there, whether you go on Pinterest, your Facebook, or Instagram. Everyone's just copying silhouettes. They just don't want to put in that extra hard work in creating a niche for themselves. Everything is so, like, open out there.
What really surprises me about India is that we can give the world 100% couture. Firstly, during the last session, I heard about why is handloom fabrics and why are they not getting the prices and the sort of things which we can, because we have made the bad mistake of selling khadi as the poor man's fabric, which was the worst marketing thing we could have done to ourselves. What is couture? Couture is made by hand. And we have taken this beautiful fabric called khadi and say, it's for the ordinary people. It could never have been there. It could never have been for the ordinary people. It is made by the ordinary people, but it is made for couture. And if we don't take that label of khadi and make khadi couture, we are always not going to get the price we want for the garments we are making. And I mean, look at the hand finishes available in India. Look at what they do with those seams in Lucknow. The machi seam of the way they applicate two fabrics together, the net seam which they do, this netting work to keep fabrics together. We are allowing all these beautiful things to die. And we're just doing this strange, silly, machine-oriented stuff which is really killing Indian fashion. Indian fashion is in the detail, in those exquisite details which only we can give the world. Who else can give the world 100% couture? Nobody. Today, there is couture in the West, but couture is 60% handmade, 40% machine-made. Here in India, we can do fabrics which are totally handmade. And we don't make use of that, opportunity.
Great. So now it's the question answer round. So anyone would like to ask a question to James? There you are. One. I'll come back to you.
Not really, no. That was why at the beginning my father nearly killed me when I told him I wanted to be a designer. Because he said, no son of mine is going to be a tailor. And this is something which is a very important question, because in India, we have no dignity in labor. That is why we have a businessman walking into a car with one man catching his briefcase, another man opening the door, the third man doing something, and it's embarrassing. We are ashamed of doing menial tasks, and unless we get down to doing all these things ourselves and embracing all of this as something that we do, only then will we be able to be great designers. So a designer is a tailor, but a glorified tailor.
Thank you. Yes, you're next.
What are
The skills. The skills that are important to the designer.
As I keep stressing, cutting. Cutting is the most important skill. See, today in our fashion industry, we don't have textile designers on the top there with us. We don't have embellishment designers like Lesage. We don't have, the designer wants to become he takes all the credit for himself. But if I, as a designer, had to say, my garment, the fabric is made by so-and-so, the embroidery, and share my platform, I think we'd be able to do much better, to give people their due and to do something for ourselves which will really put our signature on that garment.
Yes. Thank you. And you, please?
It's really sad. But then I have to bring into y'all that whole thing about how did Mehndi become so popular in the world? Because Madonna did it. So I think the most important thing is the influencers. Get somebody who could be a great influence, a blogger. I'm so glad that there are bloggers today. I'm so glad that there are people there, because they are going to be giving you the impetus you need to be able to do that. So put yourself out there in social media. Today I stopped going out socially because everybody smells of each other's assholes. Because if they are there, they're only because they've licked so hard that the smell is not gone. And that is the sad thing. But I think if as individuals we start to be responsible for what we are doing, we start to really love what we are doing, and we start to look at it from that viewpoint rather than just, money, 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 money. There needs to be a story today, So I think you also need to bring in a story about who are your people who make it, what is so beautiful about it. Today the world loves to buy with a story attached. So create stories about your collections. Talk about the people involved with it. Talk about how, if you are doing a certain thing, you're doing it with a reason, to save somebody, to help somebody. And these stories will be will be able to, for you to create and to be able to sell your things much easier.
Well, I totally agree with James actually. Just find a good influencer, blogger, and someone who could promote your designs or wear it. It'll just work for you.
But
Good luck. Yeah, good luck.
but
I'll be more than
besides
happy
that,
to.
but you know, there needs to be meat to the bone. It's okay if we talk, if it's okay if we have an influential person talking about us, but there needs to be something they need to talk about, or something we are putting on the table which is unique. Yeah? So your 5,000 scarves, each individual, each more beautiful than the other, you need to talk about that. You need to bring that to the public's mind for them to know.
Any more questions? Yes. Yes, Ranjit, and I'll come to you as well. Yeah.
The government never does anything. It's sad. I mean, firstly, look at skill development. I mean, the biggest thing about skill development was the scams. Somebody took, I think it was one of the ministers who was kicked out for a scam which went into some 3,500 crores or something on skill development. The government has money to put into these things, but we really need to be focusing on how do we really get to these people and how do we really help them. You know? I mean, for me, the most exciting thing about handicrafts and handlooms is giving respect back to a people. Because as soon as we adopt something of theirs and make it ours, we are giving them respect. So I think we really need to bring them into the conversation rather than just keeping them far away in their villages saying, there's some village over there which I use. I think we really need to be showcasing them, and I think we need to be doing what Judy Prater is doing in Kutch. For the past 40 years, she has been sitting and training the weavers and the embroidery people to be businessmen and designers. I think we need to try to get rid of those middlemen which
Totally
eat
agree with
all
you.
which eat all the profits up from everybody.
And they make
We
nothing.
need to create markets which are, are much more vibrant rather than the sorts of markets we have today. Like when we have a handloom fair, it's kept in one cheap Maidan, and it's, and it's basically the middle class who are going there and trying to get a bargain out of it. I think, as I said right in the beginning, we need to start labeling and start really talking about what handloom and what handicrafts is all about. And it's all a marketing exercise, and it's all about how we market it right from the beginning. Because really, look at what we have. Just look at what we have in every state, in every country, in every corner of our country. There is exquisite stuff happening which is not being used. And it's only after an international person comes and uses something that we all wake up to the fact that we've had it there. We need to, as designers, start really looking beyond that commercial things of what designers are looking at and to look at for more value for money.
Yes, miss? Yeah. Good afternoon.
On?
Nudity.
Nudity.
But nudity to what? Like with regards to what?
Nudity as in
Fashion?
no clothes.
James, after you. I mean, I have a different perspective. Now, when you say nudity in fashion, there's a certain level.
Okay.
There's a certain level of nudity where I think it's fine, it's okay. It depends on if a photographer is shooting a shot and it's shot really well And I think it's not obscene. That means the photographer's done a good job. So there is a level of nudity. Sometimes you do campaigns where you have body shots, just jewelry placed in yourself. If it's shot really brilliantly well, there's always a fine line between it looking obscene and it looking classy. So I think I have to maintain that bracket. So nudity is fine so long as it doesn't cross a certain line. Consider we stay in India and everyone is open to seeing things and everyone has their own reasoning when it comes to nudity. To me, I think there's a fine line that shouldn't be crossed.
You know, and I think very importantly is our perceptions. And I think, you know, at present, what is happening in India today is there are self-help group for women all the time. You know, seva and this and that, and teaching women. But it's the men who need to be really educated first. I think first we need to change the perfect perceptions of our men who sit down there and stare at you if you show a piece of arm or a piece of leg. I think we need to have them who to have been taken and really, really educated. Because if we have beautiful bodies and if you want to show it, it's your prerogative. I don't think it is fair that somebody asks a rapist, you know, says, oh, you know, I raped her because she was wearing a short skirt. I think that's really, really sad. And I think personal freedom is something each of us should have in whatever manner we need. But I also think that there is a line which we need to, you know, we need to keep. We come from a traditional family, a traditional country where women cover their heads all over. Whether it's in North India, South India, West India, East India, Central India, dupattas and pallus are created by us as part of our fashion statement to cover women. And that actually really even affects the way a woman stands up. If you look at the way an Indian woman stands, it's like this. You know, she's hunching everything inside so that she's not catching her breasts out properly. And that is why Indian women really don't know how to wear Western clothes, because firstly, you've always got this thing of covering and covering. So besides nudity, first, it's just the way we hold ourselves, which is very important. Today, as a designer, I have seen so many girls wear a bikini. But there's only one girl who has worn the bikini with class, and that is Lisa Ray. Correct?
Yes.
When Lisa Ray wore the bikini, you didn't look at the body, but you just looked at the way she held it, because Lisa was brought up in Poland and in Canada, where they were not afraid of using their body and showing their body. Today, we have girls wearing skimpy t-shirts, and what are they doing? You know? So it's also, you need to first, as a human being, as a person who is wearing that, you need to first be proud of it, and you need to first wear it with style and with class. So if you can do it, and as Candice said, I mean, if you can do it with class, if you can do it with the right aesthetics, then I don't think there's anything wrong in it. But we do need to keep in mind that we come from a traditional society, and nudity, like a red lipstick or a blue lipstick, has a place at the time of a day. You would not wear, I don't think you should be nude and walking down the streets of India, especially Jaipur or anywhere up north, you know? I mean, we really need to think about the surroundings and realize that these are traditionally what we are, this is traditionally what we value, and we really shouldn't be pushing the boundaries too much.
Yes. Any more questions? Yeah, there you go.
But you know, that is the most exciting thing, because our handloom and and it's so vibrant, and it's so vibrant even today, and it's a huge market, that we can give couture at ready-to-wear prices. What is the cost of a couture dress internationally? Do you have any idea? Ridiculous. It's like 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 1 lakh, 2 lakh pounds and dollars. Yeah? And it's an industry now which is all about marketing, and couture actually today is not about marketing the clothes but the perfumes and the other things which the big houses are doing. So today we have couture every time we go to a tailor. And every little village, every little street, every little town, we still have our darzis who we can go and make our choli blouses with. We can go and make our own little things, so that we still have cheap couture. We still have couture which is accessible to anybody. And that is what you all as designers should be doing. You know, starting to create that whole group of people, those whole tailors around you who will be able to support you and will be able to grow with you. We are not doing anything for those poor guys, you know. And if we can just bring them up a few notches, I think it would be much more exciting. And couture is in India the prerogative of the middle class.
It's very different.
You know?
People think in like
Look
a lot
at the
of
amount
a lot of designers, they think, I mean, by making like rich and heavy garments, they tag it as couture. That's the reason why they think it's tagged like really expensive. But I think they don't know couture, his-to-pret, they both are different, and couture is couture. You'll know when you see one.
See, today for us, couture is those ghastly embroidered dresses which they show during couture week, you know, which are really not couture at all. Couture is so much more than that. Couture is just made by hand. And we have our hand tailors, we have our darzis today, we have the most exciting choli people. I mean, it's sad that the choli is going to die soon because none of you all are wearing cholis. But the choli is the best bra. And it's better than wearing a polyester maiden form or something like that. You wear a choli inside your blouses, and it's a better bra than any of the other bras you're available there, like a Triumph or something, which is this piece of nylon, you know, catching yourself together. How do you all do it? Scary. When you think that you have the option of going to a darzi and making a cotton blouse, a cotton katori blouse, take off the sleeves, cut the neckline a little lower, but keep that cut, and take what is traditionally ours and strengthen that. We are just looking at the West and forgetting what we have, which is the most important thing in the world. The most exciting karigars, the most exciting fabrics, the most exciting everything. We are kings when it comes to our choice, but it's what we choose in the end which kills us. Today, when I go to schools and I see what fabrics the kids bring in, I want to kill them. It's polyester and more polyester and plastic polyester and shiny polyester. I mean, when you have the option of going and buying a beautiful hand-woven scarf and creating something out of that, we will go to garden textiles and buy garden Vareli polyester. You know, that's sad. And today, I mean, I look around here and I see people who are supposed to be designers, but all of you all look like science students. Where is there anything proper about you? Are you all going to be something? What is a designer? You have to dress in a way that is going to be, to get another person who looks at you say, wow, even I want that, you know, what you're wearing. It doesn't matter whether you're fat or thin or got an ugly face like mine or one smooth collection or whatever. It's the way you present yourself. It's the way you are. And that is something that designers and all of you all have to learn. It's the way you project yourself that is the first part of being a designer.
I agree with you, James, all the time. Any more questions before we end this beautiful session? Yes, please. Your hand was merging with the camera guy.
नमस्ते जेम्स नमस्ते कैंडी
Namaste.
मेरा सवाल है कि मैं खुद एक मूवी डिज़ाइनर हूँ और एक डिज़ाइन एजुकेटर भी हूँ पढ़ाता हूँ यहाँ पे एक डिज़ाइन स्कूल है एनबुक एकेडमी ऑफ डिज़ाइन तो आपने अभी भी बताया कि सब साइंस स्टूडेंट्स जैसे लग रहे हैं क्योंकि लाइक मुझे लगता है कि देश की आर्थिक स्थिति ऐसी है और डिज़ाइनर्स के लिए कोई सपोर्ट भी नहीं है आज लैक्मे की बात करते हैं या इंडिया फैशन वीक की बात करते हैं इंडिया फैशन वीक पे सुनील सेठी जी बहुत कोशिश कर रहे हैं डिज़ाइनर्स को निकालने के लिए क्रिएटिव ब्रेन्स को निकालने के लिए लैक्मे में 15 दिन पहले मेरी बात हुई मेरे एक फ्रेंड से असम में रहती है बहुत मारवाड़ी है वहाँ की मारवाड़ी है 15 लाख रुपए उन्होंने पे किया और लैक्मे में एंट्री मिल गई है ना सो दिस इज अ ट्रूथ ऑफ आवर कंट्री तो आपका क्या विचार है यंग डिजाइनर्स के बारे में कि जहाँ पे कि कंट्री से फेडरेशन से एफडीसीआई जैसे बड़े ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से क्या सहायता कैसे होना चाहिए ताकि वो क्रिएटिव माइंड बाहर निकल सके वो सब्यसाची फिर से निकल सके सो दैट इज मिसिंग राइट नाउ दैट्स व्हाट आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन
Sorry. Yeah, of course. I mean, when I look at, that's why I started the talk about bashing FDCI. You know, because I think we really need to get more into what fashion is all about, and it's all about individuals trying to make it big and trying to make the most of it. But I think that's what I said right from the beginning. First, create a group around you who have got your who are like-minded and will support you. As a designer, we cannot make it alone. We need a whole group of people around us and loyal people who will we have to take around the way. And secondly is create your own markets by yourselves. Learn how to, I mean, when I became a designer 45 years ago, there weren't designers, but I was whacked. I wore the wildest clothes. I made people look at me. I did everything to create. I was an exhibitionist, you know, and that got me the sort of the beginning of how I could have been as a designer, but at least that got me onto the map. So I think we need to go into ourselves and take out the best of ourselves and present that first, and not think about all these other ways which can help you. I understand totally with your frustration about paying. Today it's all about money. You know, that is whether it's FDCI or Lakme, it's like when they call us for judging, they give us a pencil rather than a pen. You know? And I think that's embarrassing. I mean, I'm going there, I spend the whole afternoon looking through clothes and saying, oh yeah, I think that designer is really beautiful, or I think they should be promoted, and then we give them marks and pencils, and then later it's all changed to what they want so that they can get the people who are paying the money to come in there. It's totally corrupt.
But corruption is everywhere if you go to see. But that's why they say to keep trying till you don't give up. And if your work speaks for yourself, then I think you should just keep trying hard. See, we don't know what happens between FDCI or IMG, Lakme, because there's a lot of middle people in between. We see it from the outsider's perspective. So money is involved anywhere, whether you're passing a tender, whether you're designing, everyone is corrupt. Everyone tries to make a change. They're still trying to make a change. But I feel if you're so good at your job, you have to keep pushing yourself. As he says, make a group of designer friends, make a circle, put it out there because social media is so big right now. Promote, do things that people are aware of it. And worst comes to worst, just go directly to the head of IMG or FDCI and speak to them, because there's always a middleman who's always involved.
Yeah, but you know, you'll have got
It's
all
a good
these
group of girls.
You'll have got
guys.
all these different handles like Twitter and Instagram and
does
all
work.
of these things where you all can put your point of view forward and make yourselves known. So make use of all of that and do it in an interesting, original way which and create a style for yourself. I think the saddest thing today is none of us have got our own style. You know, We're always borrowing and begging and doing these things, and we are a patch, like a patchwork of different things we borrowed from everywhere else. I think very important today is to create a style for yourselves. And I think that is what also is with a model like Candice. For Candice to be who she is today is because she's got a certain style which she has created over the years and has added to and has made it her own.
And I've learned this from my seniors.
But you have to create a style for yourselves, and that is the only way you're going to succeed.
So James, tell me, how is FDCR doing, considering they're getting all this massive fashion house together, such eminent people on board right now. So what do you think? How are they coping up with it, and how is it going to go for our future fashion industry?
You know, I think, as I said, Rajasthan is so full of the most exquisite handicrafts and handlooms. So I think the most important thing is marrying young designers with great craftsmen. And I think we need to be going out again there to the craftsmen and looking for how we can help them and how we can change what they're doing in an interesting way. Like if you look at something like ikat, for me a dream would be to take ikat from India, ikat made in Morocco, ikat made in different parts of the world, and doing exchanges, you know. We need to be more into sharing knowledge, because why do I teach? I've been teaching for the past 30 years, and I teach because I feel that the more I give, the more I get. And I think this is an attitude all of us need to adopt. I find it in classes, I find it really exciting in classes when all my students are working together and sharing and helping each other rather than talking, rather than working with their hands like this, covering what they're doing. You know, as soon as we do that, and as soon as we become that sort of person who wants to keep everything within, we stop growing. I think the most important way to grow is to give. So if we can help each other and give each other, I think we will grow so much more than we have. So the next time you are doing anything, instead of really trying to keep it to yourself, share it. And share it, and just by sharing it, you will realize how much more you can make out of it.
Yes. Thank you so much, James. So we are done with James right now and the session. We're going to take like a half-an-hour break for lunch, and we'll get back with our next guest, who's going to be Kunal Verma. So we shall be back again after 30 minutes, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.